Hello my dear students, how are you all? This is your botany lecturer Indira. So today's topic, I'll be starting with a new topic and most important topic for the NEET and most difficult topic also, biotechnology principles and process. So this I'm going to take topic wise and very slowly. The entire chapter I'm going to divide in at least 5 or 6 videos or more depending upon how many I get. But I'm going to divide this into small topics so that it will be very clear to you. I hope you understand it. So please watch the video from the beginning till the end so that you will be able to follow it. And please do share with your friends so that there will be a maximum benefit to all of you. And please ask them to subscribe. And all of you, those who are watching, if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe my channel so that you are going to get all my future updates. So thank you very much for listening. So let's get into the topic, biotechnology principles and process. So here first I'm going to start with introduction in today's session. So here we'll be discussing about what are all the contributions which led to the development of a new branch of biology, new branch of life science, that is biotechnology. So let us first start with the most important contribution of the scientist of 17th century, René Descartes. He was a French philosopher, mathematician and biologist of 17th century. And during his days, the knowledge of natural science, mainly the knowledge obtained from natural science, was directed to the development of technologies which add to comfort of human life and value to human life. This is what is the idea of this earlier scientist René Descartes. The meaning of this is, whatever study is made in natural science, whatever knowledge is acquired in natural science, that should be used for development of or improvement of human life. So all this should be applicable only to for the welfare of human society or a human life. That was the first idea of this scientist. So any study made in science should be useful to human life and human society. And the whole approach of understanding natural phenomenon then became anthropocentric. Understanding natural phenomenon, that means natural science. Anthropocentric. Anthropocentric is related to any study related to human study or for the welfare of human society. Welfare, mainly it should be useful to the human society. That is what is anthropocentric. It is taken from the word anthropology. Anthropology is study of human race, all about human studies, society or civilization or all aspects of human culture. So that is called as anthropology, and from that word, the word anthropocentric is taken. So it is all related to only for the welfare of human society. Now in this regard, the contribution of the two scientists are very important, which led to the actual development of biotechnology in future. Herbert Boyer and Stanley Cohen. These are the two scientists, Herbert Boyer and Stanley Cohen. These are the two scientists whose contribution led to the starting of biotechnology or initiation of what is called as modern biotechnology. That is, it gave rise to the birth of modern biotechnology. And their study also initiated multi-billion-dollar biotechnology industry. The biotechnology industry which is there in the world now, which is gaining importance and already gained importance, is because of the initial study of Herbert Boyer and Stanley Cohen. So let us see what is the contribution made by these two scientists. So first by Boyer in 1969, he studied restriction enzymes present in bacterial cells. He identified some type of enzymes called as restriction enzymes in bacterial cells, and these enzymes will have a specific property, and found that they are capable of cutting DNA in a specific fashion and produce sticky ends. So what is now the meaning of sticky ends? Let us try to understand. So suppose this is a DNA molecule. Say this is a double-stranded DNA molecule, and if this DNA molecule is cut at one point, that is both the strands, if they are cut at some specific points, the result what he found by Herbert Boyer is these DNA strands are producing sticky ends. Sticky ends are these single-stranded ends. Sticky ends are these single-stranded ends, which can easily, these single-stranded ends, they can easily bind or they can easily join to other fragments of DNA. So according to Herbert Boyer, by using restriction enzymes, he found that a single-stranded ends are produced. These single-stranded ends are called sticky ends because of their joining. They can easily join with any other DNA fragments. So these are called as a sticky ends. That was the initial contribution by Herbert Boyer. Now, Cohen's contribution. He observed the small ringlets of DNA in bacterial cells called plasmids. All of you know, in a bacterial cell, the extracircular DNA is present. That is called as a plasmid. Ringlets means circular manner. Ring-like or circular, small circular DNA. That is called as a plasmid. And he developed a method to remove those plasmid and reinsert into bacterial cells. So what was the Cohen's observation? It should be removed. So once again, let us try to understand the Cohen's observation also. According to Boyer's, DNA can be divided into fragments with sticky ends. Now, what is the Cohen's contribution? So this is Cohen's contribution is the bacterial cell along with its own normal DNA. So this is the normal DNA. Along with that, it has small extracircular DNA. This small extracircular DNA, this is called as a plasmid. So according to his tabular study, he observed that the plasmid can be removed. Plasmid can be easily removed from the bacterial cell, and it can be again reinserted into another bacterial cell. Again it can be reinserted. So because of this very important finding, and combining both, so method to remove plasmid and reinsert into bacterial cells, that was what was identified and developed by Cohen. Now combining these two techniques, what are the two techniques? One is the first one, that is Boyer's finding, that is restriction enzyme cut the DNA to produce some specific ends, and Cohen's finding is the plasmid DNA can easily be removed and reinserted. So combining these two techniques, both Boyer and Cohen could recombine segments of DNA in a desired manner and insert into bacterial cells, which could act as manufacturing plants for specific proteins. So what is the meaning of this? Let us try to understand once again by combining these two techniques. So in the earlier technique, I told you, in Boyer's finding, by using restriction enzyme, he could produce sticky ends. And according to Cohen, what was his observation is the plasmid can be removed. So when any DNA and this plasmid can be easily combined. Suppose this DNA which we are taking is for production of a particular protein or a particular hormone. Then these two, if treated with same restriction enzyme, they are going to produce the sticky ends. So this plasmid also will produce some sticky ends. Plasmid is also going to produce sticky ends. Plasmid will also produce some sticky ends. And when this combines with the DNA of our choice, whatever DNA we want to use, DNA of our choice, that is desired DNA. Suppose this is the desired DNA with sticky ends. If these two are combined, this is the plasmid DNA and this is the desirable DNA. Suppose desirable DNA is for production of any protein, then these two can be combined, can be joined together, and we get a plasmid having a desirable DNA. So to this plasmid we will find this desirable DNA gets attached. Now this plasmid DNA is carrying the desirable DNA. It can be reinserted to the bacterial cell, and that gene which is entering into bacterial cell will start producing that particular protein. If it is an insulin, the insulin gene that will start producing insulin within this bacterial cell, and that large amount of insulin when produced, it can be extracted by different methods for the purpose of further use. So this is the importance of finding of these two scientists, that is Boyer and Cohen, which led to the most important contributions in biotechnology, and this was the breakthrough in the development of biotechnology. So it is just a starting step for development of biotechnology. So it is very important, children, for NEET point of view questions. What exactly is the Boyer's and Cohen's finding, and that is the foundation for understanding the future developments in the biotechnology. Now let us see some more points in biotechnology. So first, if we go through the definition, biotechnology is the technique of using microorganisms, plants, animals, their products, and to produce products and services useful to human beings. The most important thing what you have to remember is any contribution made in biotechnology is always for the welfare of human beings. So most of the applications are in biotechnology. Most of the applications of biotechnology are in medicine. Medical biotechnology has taken a large development using these techniques, and the term biotechnology was for the first time used by Carl Ehricke. Carl Ehricke for the first time coined the term biotechnology. Coming to the other contributions, other scientists, Paul Berg, called as father of genetic engineering. Paul Berg is called as a father of genetic engineering. He was the first one who worked on transfer of gene of SV40 virus into E. coli with the help of a lambda phage. A gene from this particular virus, SV40 virus, into E. coli with the help of lambda phage, lambda bacteriophage. Lambda phages, these are called as a temperate phages also, lambda phages. And SV40 stands for simian vacuolating virus causing cancers in humans. Simian vacuolating virus causing cancer in humans. And he got Nobel Prize for this work in the year 1980. Now there are two aspects of biotechnology. One is according to the old biotechnology. Biotechnology has a very old history also. So what is that old contribution or history? So what is that old biotechnology? It is based on natural capabilities of living organisms, that is microorganisms. So when naturally the microorganism produce certain products, that comes under old biotechnology, which also comes under as a branch of biotechnology. So what is that? Formation of citric acid. It is formed naturally in Aspergillus, the fungus Aspergillus. Penicillin is formed in the fungus Penicillium notatum. This all of you know. Curd contains the bacterium lactic acid bacterium. Alcohol produced by yeast. So these are all naturally produced in this. These organisms are not modified. The meaning of this is these organisms are not modified to produce these products, but these products are produced naturally in these organisms. So this natural production of such chemicals also come under biotechnology. Now what is a new version of biotechnology? It is based on rDNA technology or recombinant DNA technology. So here any particular organism is modified. That means its genetic material is changed. It is manipulated. DNA is manipulated. Genetic material is changed. Or a new gene is introduced. Then we call it as rDNA technology. Like for example, human gene producing insulin expressed in E. coli. So what is the meaning? Gene which produces insulin in humans is introduced into this bacterium E. coli. And then the insulin is produced in the cells of E. coli. So here E. coli cannot naturally produce insulin. Like we have seen in the other examples. E. coli will not have a gene for producing insulin. But still how is it able to produce? Because the human gene is introduced into E. coli. That's why this E. coli is able to produce the human insulin. Here I would like to relate another point, since I have completed making video on previous topic, that is molecular basis. So here we have done a topic called as genetic code, properties of genetic code. So if we take this example, human gene producing insulin expressing in E. coli, which property of genetic code we can relate it here? How a human gene can express itself in a bacterial cell? So what is that the property of genetic code we can relate? We can relate the property of genetic code, that is universal nature of genetic code. Universal nature of genetic code. Because of this property, universal nature of genetic code, a human gene will be able to express in E. coli. Now let us go to the other examples of biotechnology where biotechnology is involved. In vitro fertilization also comes under biotechnology, the technique of biotechnology. In vitro fertilization. In vitro fertilization is test tube fertilization, which is being used for treating many infertile couples, and it is used for producing test tube babies. Synthesis of gene, artificial synthesis of gene. Like now by using this technique, any gene can be synthesized artificially and it can be cloned. Cloning means multiplication of that particular gene. Developing a vaccine, DNA vaccine. By using DNA of a particular organism, vaccine can be prepared. And other one is gene therapy. So defective gene can be replaced by any other healthy gene. So little bit I would like to give information about in vitro fertilization. It is pioneered in humans by Professor Robert Winston. Was the first one to introduce in vitro fertilization in humans in 1978. And the world's first test tube baby was produced by using this technique Steptoe and Edwards. Of course, the study started long back, but the first test tube baby was produced by these two scientists, Steptoe and Edwards, on July 25th, 1978, and the female baby born then was named as Louise J. Brown. She was the first test tube baby, world's first test tube baby. Similarly, during the same time, the first test tube baby in India was also produced by Dr. Subhash Mukherjee in Kolkata. This was in October 3rd, 1978. And here also a female baby was born, and initially the baby was named as Durga by the doctor, and later by the family members she was named as Kanupriya Agarwal by family members. But Dr. Subhash Mukherjee was not given any particular recognition what he deserved at that time. But he was the first doctor, first one, and first test tube baby was produced then, and later of course we know now the technique has become very, very popular. Now lastly, the definition of biotechnology according to European Federation of Biotechnology. Having understood what all is now biotechnology about, lastly in this session we will say about European Federation of Biotechnology. It is integration of natural science and organisms, cells, parts thereof, and molecular analogues for products and services. Though the definition seems to be slightly complicated, but the meaning of this, as we have discussed earlier, is it is use of natural science, using the knowledge of natural science. What is the natural science? That is using organisms like bacteria, their cells, different parts of cells, like even plants can be used, animals can be used. Their products can be used, molecular analogues, structurally similar to any particular product. Those are molecular analogues. For production of any useful products for human welfare, and also for any other services which are required for human welfare. So with this, children, I conclude my first topic here in this chapter. The next topic we will continue in the next session. We are going to start with principles and process of biotechnology. So thank you very much for listening. Have a good day. Please go through the video very carefully. If you have any doubts and anything to ask, you can ask freely in the comment box. So thank you very much, children. Have a good day.